The dissolved mineral in the water makes it kind of hard for the water to hold that mineral in solution. So as it flows or it drips, we get formation of all shapes, colors, and forms. Got all that?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Good, I got quizzes.
Okay, I'm a teacher.
Oh, all right.
Lock it in.
What we're gonna hang away above us, those are called stalactites. Stalactites. They like to hang on tight to the ceiling. Coming up from the floor, we got a big one next to the handrail, some on this side of the rail. Those are called stalagmites. Stalagmites. Might reach it tight someday. Tight and they might grow together, they form a column. We have a small one up here, larger one there. Next stop, I'm going to show you the largest column in the cave. Oh, excuse me. These up above us on the wall area, those are called drapes, curtains, or cave bacon. The main mineral in the cave is calcite. That's a calcium carbonate. Like I said, limestone, seafloor sediment, marine fossils. Well, most seashells and coral in the world are made from calcite. So it's in the rock, it gets dissolved, transported into the cave, and the more pure the calcite, the lighter or whiter it is. So the dark stripes through there, they got clay settings and then lots of iron oxide in the clay around here. Gives it a layer of filth looking like the bacon. Powell family named that the flag. This huge formation over here, it's called a canopy. That's a combination of draperies and flowstone. Sheets of water will flow, deposit the mineral kind of flat. You can see we got some water flowing over it today. Once it gets over a 45-degree angle, the water spreads apart and starts to form draperies. And very possibly how that whole thing formed, we have a very dominant crack that runs the whole length of the cavern.
I was just wondering about that.
Don't worry, don't reach the surface like that. There's a bunch of cracks. And just about every cave in the world has a dominant crack, which is called the lifeline of the cave. These are lifelines, what the cave formed on. Got another crack running this way. A little area of narrow water and mineral comes in. I guess you can see there's a crack along the wall there. It's actually a bedding plane. Underneath that, I guess you could say a bigger crack. It's big enough for a person to fit into. It goes back a little bit, and I guess you could say some holes in the wall up in there, where a good amount of water and mineral comes flowing in from above to form that huge formation. So when those get wetter as we go lower, after some really good rain, it can get really drippy. Sometimes so much we got to hand out ponchos to people.
Okay.
It's fun.
Glad it's not raining right now.
All right, everybody, turn around, look to your left. There's the largest column in the cave. It is 65 feet tall. It's called Powell Monument in honor of the Powell family. When they first came in to explore the cave, if you look up, came in right about there. They used a windlass. They're all different shapes and sizes. You got a pulley in the middle of them. Put at least a 100-foot rope through the pulley. Tied a nice sturdy oak branch on one end for his seat, and 4 or 5 gentlemen on the other end to lower a person down. Gotta have some good friends. When Truman Powell got in this area right here, he asked them to stop so he could survey his surroundings. And Truman, he had a pretty good imagination. Because also at the time, he was founder and editor of a newspaper over here in Galena, which is a few miles up the road. When he saw this formation, he thought it looked like the flowing robe of an angel. You can see a wing there, there's a wing there. He noticed that the head was bowed. He wanted to know why. Now, it probably took him a few trips, but he finally did see it. Way up at the top of the cave, there's a formation. It looks like a cross. So the angel is bowing in honor of the cross. When people would ask Truman what it was like down here, he said it was like a subterranean fairyland. His son Waldo, he liked that. That's where the name Fairy Cave came from. In 1969, Silver Dollar City Properties purchased the cave and the surrounding acreage from the Powell family. They named it Talking Rocks Cavern after something that Waldo had said. The rocks spoke to him visually. Being show people like they are, so now sitting in a step further. Running all these fancy lights, colored lights, strobe lights, black lights. Made these speakers to look like rocks. Have this booming voice coming out of them saying, "In the beginning God created." That's how the earth was created, how caves were created. Well, it scared little kids, even some adults, and it put a stop to it. Normally we got sound like over home. Our stereo died. Once we get down below us here, we'll get down there eventually. I'll turn the lights off on the interior, it looks like a candle.
Waterproof speakers back there.
So you're on top of one.
Right now, yeah.
Нет, это были истории, которые дети и даже некоторые взрослые боялись.
Well, like I mentioned before we came in, we used to have wooden walkways down here. Well, the high humidity and the dampness of the cave would make the wood rot really fast. So in 1928, they made these nice steel reinforced concrete walkways we're using today. So what we're standing on is 94 years old. No need to worry. Concrete in this environment hardens 4 times harder than it does on the surface. Because it's so constant in temperature. Water and cement, they kind of like each other. It takes longer to cure, but it cures harder. The entrance where we came in at is way up there. They lowered down buckets of dried cement mixture. Below us is a cave pool. At the time, there was about 3 feet of water in the pool. They used some of that water to mix the cement and pour it in the forms that they have built to make these nice walkways. And they started from the bottom and worked their way up. Easier that way. One of the little formations I'd like to point out is this here. Technical name is called a tubular stalactite. Common name is called a soda straw. It's hollow. Water runs down the center of it. A water drop will sit on the end there. A mineral ring will form. The water will drip away and that'll get longer and longer. Like I said, that's a form of a stalactite. If that was to plug up, all the water would run to the outside of it and start to cone out, like the stalactites we have hanging from the ceiling up there. All stalactites start out as soda straws. This huge formation behind us, like I said, is called a canopy. The Powell family named it the cathedral. Also mentioned a good amount of water and mineral comes flowing in from above to form this huge formation. Also mentioned water ran horizontally through the cavern. We have a cave drain on that end of the cave. There's a cave drain right down here. Over time, the water slowed down this cavern filled partway with red clay. It's formed over a rock ledge that sticks out up there and on top of the clay. Then the water sped up, washed the clay away, and nature, in its uniqueness, the way the water flows from above, made these drapes to spread apart. If there was any clay or sediment inside there, it washed away and made this neat little room we get to walk into, take a look at, and walk through. Now, this formation is made out of pure calcite.